Literally hundreds of you guys asked for Punishing Gray Raven after the last video. And since then, I actually got approached by Kuro Games to make an official animated fight scene for them. So naturally, I'm going to be watching every single PGR Ultimate to tell you guys which one has the best animation. The Thousand Blade thing feels so familiar. It's very similar to that one move that Cloud Strife does at the end of Final Fantasy Advent Children. Boom, 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 boom. Bam. Look at this. Okay, it's not exactly the same. But anyway, I think it's overall good, but there's not a lot of body animation. It's almost strictly effects. Like, the effects are cool. Like, it's a B or a C even. Like, just because of how basic it is. That was cool. What I will say, though, is at the beginning, the rotation that she did doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The execution of the body mechanics mid-air is really difficult to get right. Like, generally speaking, mid-air mechanics are not something that a lot of people think about because no one's usually falling through the air. Like, every time you extend a leg or every time you, like, move a body part, the opposite needs to be true for the other half of your body because there's no more ground to latch onto. I'd actually put this in a C. I think it's not a D because it does look cool, but it's not quite functionally sound. Yaiba. Okay, this is my girl. We animated this ultimate. This ultimate is cool, but the way it could be better is the way we animated it. Basically, this ultimate could come towards the camera. Now, that might not work for gameplay, but from an animation standpoint, I would say this is decent. It's good. So I'm going to put it in an A. I'd say it's A. So this is decent, but I think if you were to raise the shoulders just a little bit here for that extra tension in the body. The shoulders are what I've heard described as the eyebrows of the body. You have a bit of a stronger silhouette, hopefully, with like the elbow visibly bent. That'd be great. So you get that in there. Then you can have a stronger pose in general with something that might look a little bit like this, for example. That'll feel pretty strong. So now you have something that feels like she's really, really charging up for something instead of something that feels a little bit more casual. That's what I would do personally. It's decent, but it's a B. This one's not that great. The reason being is that it doesn't, again, have like a payoff, but they're missing a key thing, which is that when you jump up and spin, if you lean back like this, you're going to be wobbling off your axis. This curve here is really hard to get to be stable, and the speed at which they're doing it doesn't really imply that she's quite stable enough for this. Maybe a D, because there's not a whole lot of things that I can say that they didn't need adjustments for. What the? Yo, that's just like an upgraded version of this one. Look at how stable this gyroscopic motion is. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Her arms are in a very similar pose where this arm is bent to increase that anticipation and this arm is drawn back. It's a great example of what I'm talking about here, where you really want that gyroscopic stability to have these things anticipate and pay off themselves as much as possible. I'm going to put it in S for now. What the fuck? Wait, what? Excuse me? I did not think we were going to see anything like that today. What? That's our final form? You know, that makes a lot of sense. They're really building that up. The camera work on this is absolutely gorgeous. So that zoom was crazy. Like that's such a great way to build excitement for an animation. And then like the entire world changes, which is like a whole other thing from an effects standpoint. And then that pose, fantastic. That pose composition, fantastic. Like the slight tilt in the camera, fantastic. Like, bro, that's just good. The letterboxing during the close-up, I didn't even notice. Look at that. She's outside of the letterbox. That's so cool. 100% S tier. I'm tempted just to put this girl in A now, just because like that's not even fair to compare. This was crazy. I did not expect to see gunplay in this, to be honest. I think this actual pose is like, okay, it's not bad, but these poses are perfect. Like, look at this. Like each and every single one of these poses are contrasted visually from the other one and still like look really, really good. So you're going to get a solid A for that. Okay, a little bit more boring. I mean, it's very visually cool. The effects are really, really cool, but it's like the same thing 6 times. The beginning here, it's not super strong. I kind of wish he did something more. So like right here, for example, imagine if like his arm was like here instead. This feels like a stronger pose, even if it's just like the same idea. So that alone would give you a stronger silhouette. This feels like a missed opportunity as well. You have this thing here where he goes like that, and like you should have a lot of anticipation here. And then it goes to like this pose, which this is a really cool pose. I like this pose a lot. But it's a missed opportunity to build this one up. I'd give this, I don't know, like a B probably, maybe a high C. I think it's okay. Woo! Okay, hang on. I gotta recover. There's more! No way! Bro! Absolutely insane. So right here, I would say like the lines of action coming from this initial impact point, that feels really good. Notice how it aligns perfectly with his body. And it's like crazy how it's such a small thing, right? But it makes a huge difference. This whole thing is just wild. Like, I don't even understand. Like, they just transitioned to like this fighting game camera where you're going from left and right, which is gorgeous. Again, with these amazing poses. This part is so cool when he like puts his gun into his gun or his like sheath thing or whatever. That movement is like chef's kiss, like so good. And then notice this line of action here. Okay, right? That's good. What is this doing? Following the same line of action, right? So amazing follow through of this momentum here. Brings one dynamic movement into the next dynamic movement, building on top of each other in terms of energy. And notice how he transitions this energy upwards. So he comes in and like this first wipe, it doesn't go directly up. It goes here, right? And then you keep going. What does this one do? It goes in that same direction. So even though it's going upwards, it follows this line, this diagonal line first when it first passes through camera. Because they took that time to add just a couple of frames where you have this same line of action here and then transition into the upwards moment, it's just 10 times stronger. And then take a look at what they do next. More. They just add more directional influence in this direction. And so now they build up not one, not two, but 5 lines of action, all transitioning and building onto each other until this moment. And this is gorgeous, right? Like I love these kinds of low focal length shots. And then they're just like, oh, and here's the actual payoff. It's like, what, bro? Like, that's crazy, dude. That's crazy. This guy's Nest. Is it better than Imperia? I mean, honestly, yeah. Like, significantly better than Imperia. This is SS for sure. Okay, interesting. The fact that the sword is vibrating gives it some really cool points. But the pose is not strong enough. They do a good job with the weight here. Like, that's pretty good. But then, like, as you go a little further, the wrist is carrying the entire sword's weight within, like, 4 frames or something like that. So you would actually want this to be a lot slower. And so, like, you would actually have something that looks more like this, where the sword can be pointed towards camera in this really dynamic way, and that's fine. But it would have, like, the tip still below camera at this frame. And then you would get to, like, this frame, you have something a bit more like this. That would feel a lot stronger. I think Vibrating Sword Man could probably be in a B. Okay, interesting. I don't like how much of the weapon is cut off. Like, I want to see more of this. I don't need this. I trade you this for more of that. I mean, the framing is okay, but I'm gonna give you a C. When I see missed potential, I rank it lower. You know what I mean? Wanshi? Okay. So this is what's called a dolly zoom. This is a technique that you use with the camera that specifically is supposed to elicit a form of uneasiness or a form of like increased tension and instability. This is done by physically moving the camera forward while at the same time zooming out with the focal length. It does work a decent amount for anticipation. The issue is that it doesn't really pay off anything. It starts, right? And then it like just shoots like a beam that like takes up about like 2% of the screen. Hypnos is a D. It is a D. This is interesting. I like everything about Bianca's. It's overall really good. My biggest gripe is that they have their focal length way too high for the shot. What that means basically is that the camera feels too far away from the character for this to have the impact that I wish it had. Imagine if the bow was here. The character can still be in the same spot visually, right? And then like you just have that much more visual energy to like play off of where like the camera feels closer to the character. Bianca's was a B because she could have done better. All right, Stigmata. That character design feels like you should have a really good ultimate. Oh! Okay! This is a fantastic pose. Clear view of the face, and it's got this line of action that goes diagonally across screen, which is really, really strong. This feels fantastic too. And then they transition perfectly into this, which is like super seamless. So from a gameplay perspective, I absolutely love. And like, I don't even know what to say about this. This is just great combat animation. That is crazy. Like, this is crazy. Again, we get this like this utilization of diagonal lines, and then you also get this radial, just like, oh my god, this is so powerful. And again, this radial also seems to complement her own pose. I did see something here. It goes a little too fast for it to register to the audience before like she just disappears, which I wish she didn't, because like she goes like, I'm going towards camera, but then boop, I'm gone. This is a little disorienting, right? Like that right there is a little disorienting. So I would say that loses a little bit of points. I obviously give her an S. Is it an SS? No, it's just an S. It's not perfect, but it's fantastic. Oh, that's cool. This is such a creative idea. I like this a lot, but there's a couple things wrong with it. And I think just from a body mechanics perspective, it could be improved. If it was higher, it actually would have been better. Because like, not only would it be more accurate, but also the line of action of like stabbing it into the ground would be stronger, because she would have to raise it up a little higher for this angle. So instead of her like doing a sideways thing like that, she could do something like this. Same pose basically, then just like raise that up a little bit. But like you would have this now, and then it would go downwards like this. And it would feel even cooler because it would actually change the vector for a little bit and like build on top of that by like lifting it up and then stabbing it down to the ground. That would be really cool. I think it's a B. What the fuck is a laser? I have a bit of a gripe with the gyroscopic motion here again. Like the actual spin is fine, but like what we do here in this particular pose could have been set up better. Like the spin axis is decent, it's all right, but because the spin axis is here, right? Like you have an axis here. What does she do? She just completely destroys it. When you do that, there needs to be a counterbalance. She needs to have something of equal weight on this side of her body. You would have to do this. So now all of the leg is on this side of the body. It could work decently well, but you have to overcompensate. Like you have to make the angle like way stronger to like get like all of this like averaged out to be like that. You're a B. I mean, maybe a high C, but I'm gonna put you in B for now. Low B. Oh god, my back. The weight on this hammer is fantastic. This pose is so good right here. It's like a baseball pitch, right? So this perfectly builds up the anticipation for the actual swing. So it really does a good job at like showcasing like how the center of gravity is going to change. Take a look at this. I'm gonna blow your mind. This is a seesaw. This is a fulcrum point. All the weight right now is here. How does she lift it? She puts more weight on this side. That's so good. Can we just appreciate the amount of facial appreciation that the animators gave this character? Out of all the characters, I had a visceral reaction because she felt alive compared to the other one. Like, that's a great expression. It's a great focus on the expression. This is a great expression. Great focus on the face. And then like the zoom out here is fantastic. So like he goes here and in one shot goes down the length of the hammer. So this is a great transition point that follows the energy of the movement as if the camera was being moved by the motion itself. She, in my opinion, SS. Is this what, Ida from My Hero Academia? What's going on? Like, just imagine that Ida just like ran super fast, but also he had a sword. I really like that recovery animation at the end there. That's actually really good. It's a B. It's solid. It's nothing bad. Whoa! That was cool, bro. This is the facial appreciation we're talking about, bro. Wait, I just saw something that is terrifying. Like this frame is absolutely just giving me nightmares right now. Guys, you see it? Oh! I won't be able to sleep at night, dude. This is crazy, dude. I can't. The broken wrists issue is an epidemic among animators, dude. No one's really safe from it. It's a very common problem. She's an A. She's not bad. She's not great. I'd say she's like a mid A-ish. Like, yeah, whatever, you know. Oh! Jesus Christ. Yo, that was cool. Wait, hang on. This spin at the end here, I kind of wish they went the other way. This is a great line of action in front of camera here, right? Yeah, it goes in this direction. It even goes down that way too, which is cool, right? It goes down in kind of the same angle. And then they changed it to go this way. So I'm actually not a fan of that. I feel like they could have easily had it go downwards instead. And then you did this, which by the way, that's literally the angle that she's doing the pose in. Like she's going down and then up. So like you could have easily done that. It's a missed opportunity here to again, build on those lines of action on top of each other. You're a B. Yeah, she's a B. Okay. So right off the bat, this is really confusing because I thought I was looking through her perspective and I thought that was the enemy for a second. I'm not sure exactly how to resolve that except to maybe like show the camera actually like move over there first. Because otherwise, like how am I supposed to know at that speed that like she's just like in the spot where the enemy was, but it's not the enemy. But there's a lot of things I really like about this animation. So like right here, that spin right there is fantastic. I would give her like a probably a low A. serious punch? Am I crazy? That looks like Saitama to me. I feel like this initial movement didn't really give me like a good feeling, because if you notice, he pulls like the pin on the grenade. He's throwing the grenade. Guys, the grenade's over here. He already threw the grenade. Anticipation wise, like that's a miss, right? Like that doesn't work. This pose is actually not that great for the punch that he's doing. This is supposed to be an uppercut because like his arm is above him. His lower arm is below him. What do you do from there? He keeps his hand above him, which doesn't feel quite as good. Like it still works, it still looks great, but it's like it's an interesting like a small detail about like punching that you can make feel like better if you like understand these things. It had one cool pose. I give it a C. Scythe? Just imagine if this scythe here was below camera. Basically exactly the same. Imagine if the scythe was here instead, and then it would cross the screen this way and it would go up this way above her head. So then you get like a nice line of action that like follows the direction of the scythe upwards above her head. So like this arc doesn't feel as satisfying. It just kind of starts going up already, and then it's already up there by the time it goes above her head. Doesn't feel like she's building up to anything. She's already arrived at the correct height from the beginning. Because of that, you don't get any build up and it feels a little weak. I think they were trying to frame something. Okay, hang on a second. Huh. I didn't notice. I'll be honest, I felt I was more focused on the scythe. Let's put ourselves in the shoes of the developer. And let's say that we really just want to have, for whatever reason, just some focus on the general center of the screen. Like it would still be better because you would cross your eyes across this exact location. Anyway, I give you a C. That's not a sword. That is a sword. That is really cool conceptually. This pose right here, everything leading up to it is great, but then it just kind of fumbles a little bit at the end. So like what I would recommend personally is to separate her hair from her hand silhouette just a little bit here. Like there's no reason why they need to be overlapping. Just put her hand like here and then like bend her like wrist like this way or her elbow this way. The spin here implies a lot of momentum, but then like the pose just kind of stops before it really gets far enough to be satisfying. So like I kind of wish that they had that like turn more, and like basically as much as she turns here, but just like with a higher pose, because like the hand should not be overlapping again. And then you could have this slash here at the end feel still just as good, if not better. Yeah, I would give it a B. So she makes a shield. Okay, pretty simple. So this silhouette I have an issue with. The only thing I'm really seeing here is like maybe that the leg is blocked by the saw. The saw is like taking, you know, and then the other arm is like behind it. This arm is like tangentially overlapping the body. So I don't see any of this information at a glance. Like so the silhouette's like, it's not that great. On top of that, there's no facial appreciation. When you angle the face this much, especially when there's an opportunity to pay attention to it, it's like all you're seeing is like a really, really shrunken perspective of the face, which is not ideal. You could try something like this where you bring this out here and the saw is like here. I would move this guy just a little bit this way and then keep the leg over here the same. So now you have basically the same pose, but now you have actually a proper silhouette. I think this is a much better pose for exactly the same thing. It's the same pose, same movement, and then it would go into the same thing after that. This is a D. It's just got not a whole lot going. Okay. Man, this is conceptually so cool, but they could have done something even cooler. So if they actually had her lower a little bit faster, so you could actually extend the leg a little bit further, and you'd get a much cooler arc here and a quicker change in the levels, which would feel really, really dynamic. And then you could have everything else exactly the same. And then she lowers even faster. It would make it feel so much more dynamic because she's lowering anyway. I'll put her in B. Starfarer. She has a mech, bro? What is this, Darling in the Franxx? That's wild. Whoa! God, that's sick. They do one thing here, which I'm not a big fan of. Notice how they do a slash, but then like they do a Dutch angle and then they return back to a normal angle in like the same shot. It's a little disorienting. This actually is a great pose. So like from a dynamic standpoint, like this is really, really cool. So like anticipation is really good. This is a great pose just from a character perspective. So stylized. So I would probably put an A. Come on. Okay. This is a great pose. I absolutely love the hand pose on this one. And the facial expression and everything feels really in character. The motion of the physics in the bottom also works really well. This one was clearly hand animated. And then the second part of this, it's got a small thing. I love this pose. This is fantastic. But like, why is she dropping here, right? Like, I don't really like the sudden drop. I feel like she should be coming towards camera instead. So like right here, instead of dropping, I would rather that she like get closer to the camera, but then just like build this here and like pull in from the leg. Like that's what I want, because that's going to be so much more dynamic. So I would probably put her in A. I think overall it's really good. Ka-ching? What? This is interesting. I'm not blown away by it, but I think it's really good. There's a couple things that I think could be improved. This right here could be exaggerated. So like if she had her arm here, that would have been fire. Like it's such a small thing, but like this spin is such a potential for like satisfying arcs. Like she could have like had that delay just a little bit and get a nice follow through there. I would put her in low S. She's really good, but just a little bit of delay would have put her like much higher. Hey, it's our girl Alpha. What's up? Okay. There's a couple things I don't like about this ultimate. This is more about kendo. So when it comes to kendo, letting the sword go all the way through on the slash, it's a one-handed sword thing. So you're actually supposed to lock your wrists, and you're mostly supposed to use like a little bit of your elbow, but then like mostly kind of like your shoulder, which all the power behind the sword comes from like your body weight, your form, your stance. It's a really powerful attack. Like there's a reason why they teach it, because you deliver a lot more force that way. When you're letting your wrist be loosey-goosey like this, you're basically using your wrist to attack. She's doing kendo strikes, but she's not doing kendo form. So yeah, it's a really mediocre ultimate. I know it's one of the oldest ones, so it makes sense, but like I was hyped for Alpha. All right, it's our girl, Crimson Weave. Let's go. All right. Yeah, let's go. Yaiba. Yeah, let's go. Woo. Man, am I biased towards that? This is just a great composition. It's a really cool shot, and it's the reason why we use this shot in our animation. We didn't change it, like, at all. Like, we thought it was really good. And of course, this is just sick. Right? Like, that's such a great pose. Like, I have no complaints about it. Like, this is so cool. Realistically, probably just a high B or a low A, because she doesn't really move much. Luna. Okay, so this pose is the same thing that I've sort of been talking about with all the other cross arm poses, to be honest. This pose here could just be like, again, wrapped around a bit more. Like, I love this hand pose. I think it's great. Just pull it in a bit more and like it'll feel stronger. You want to coil up the spring. That's the main idea for anticipation. I mean, honestly, there's not really much going on. I'd have to give her a D probably, to be fair. I like the effect they did here. It's really, really cool. They did a similar thing where they have like these silhouettes. There's a small thing. I don't like the fact that this thing here and this elbow intersect. Like the silhouette should you don't have to do that. Like you could raise the elbow here. You know, you could just do that. And it would feel that much better with these two separate. Like that would already feel so much better. Give you a B. Give you a B. Whoa. Okay. This has a lot of potential. Why are you covering the face? Like why are you slightly intersecting the face when you could have just done this? It would have been just as strong, if not stronger. And like you could see everything really clearly, and you can still have the face in full focus here. A solid C, I would say. Nothing crazy. Watanabe. I don't have high hopes for you. It's good, but like this hand currently feels like it's just stiff. It feels like it's parented to the chest and not doing anything. So I would recommend like having this be like a bit more controlled by like a person and not like the computer. What the fuck? What the fuck? He's like a high C. He's not terrible, but he's not like amazing. Dude, he's so edgy, bro. I have the same thing to say here. Why is he not exaggerating his arms here? You could do this, you know what I mean? Like you could have your hands like really far away and like do something like that. Like it has got more buildup, you know what I mean? Maybe if you want to do this, you could. You can bring it back like over here too. That's also fine. It's not bad, but it's not like it's nothing amazing. I would give this guy probably a C again. I want to like this one so bad, guys. This kick should have been amazing. I really like it when people kick their spears. I think it's a really cool mechanic and underutilized. The issue with this kick is that her leg keeps going up after the contact point. A really good kick, especially a heavy spear, what you would notice is that as soon as you kick, the leg would have to stop moving because all the momentum is being transferred into the spear. And so then the spear starts moving and the leg just immediately stops. This is what happens usually. Ideally, you actually have the spear here already. And then when the leg kicks it, the leg immediately goes down and the spear goes up. That's what you want for a leg kick on a spear. And then the momentum here on the spear kind of like dies as soon as she like catches it. So the spin is really cool, but then as soon as she like Okay, she doesn't even catch it and it stops spinning. Right? So that cannot happen. Like she needs to have stopped the spear first so that the spear can stop spinning. Otherwise, like this doesn't happen in real life. It could have been well done. A lot of great ideas, but I'm gonna have to put her in probably, honestly, C. Damn. Yeah, that felt great. Look at that anticipation. That's crazy. This is such a great example of like how like having the weapon like lag behind you gives such a great anticipation already, because she's lagging the weapon further behind than is humanly possible because it's floating behind her. So like normally, like if it was in her hand, like it would have to be like here at most, right? Because her wrist can't bend any further. Now we actually have it's like all the way back here and it feels fantastic. Like really, really good. I think I might give her a low S. Wait, I haven't seen the rest yet. There's more? What? I thought that was something else. Bro, I already gave her an S. I love the poses here. It's so good. But this, we don't like this. I think she's still low S, but take a look at this. So if they had pushed the sword closer to camera with a low focal length on this exact frame, then it would have been perfect. It was set up to be exactly that. The sword was getting closer and closer to camera. It could have been this big for just a frame and then continued on downwards. It's missing that little bit of anticipation there that could have made it like that much stronger at the end. Yeah, that's the only thing. That's wild. Okay, the arcs are really strong here. The only thing I would say is like I kind of wish she stayed in this pose for like 2 more frames, because like what she's doing here is like she's coming in and she's letting this fan settle, but before it fully settles, she just suddenly just like moves, and like when it moves the second time, it's like it's lost all that momentum and that settling energy and just like completely goes in a different direction. You see that? It just goes upwards without bending. That's a solid. I'd say probably A. Oh my god, it's near automata. That is crazy. The shoulders are so relaxed, but she's dying. How much better would it be if you just had this? Like, bruh. That would have been so much better. Look at that. Okay, so that's it. I'm sorry, A2. You're a cool character. I like you a lot, but you're a D. 9S? What? Yo, that's crazy, dude. I don't know what to put this. I can't. He doesn't really belong anywhere else. It's so different than the rest of them. That's really all he is. You can't really say anything else about it. Oh my god, it's 2B. 2B is such a cool character. They could have done so much with her, dude. Like, notice one thing. Like, her knee is blocking her hand. That's because she's crouching down too low. Like, she should be like here. Like, you don't have to go down that low. Just like stay up here. It should be at the waist anyway. Well, that's everything that we have on here. I do need to choose who the best one is. We got to choose between these two. Hyperreal is pretty crazy, dude. Oh, God. Oh. Yo. And there's more. Oh, God. Oh. Surely that's got to be the winner. There's no way. Skyer. Oh god, dude. As much as I love her, Skyer is not as good as Hyperreal. Hyperreal is the winner. He's absolutely goated. Honestly, don't even know how you can beat this guy.